There is one specific, observable behavioral thing that creates an immediate attraction response in the female brain before a single word has been exchanged, before conversation, before personality has been demonstrated, before anything she consciously evaluates has had time to be evaluated. And the research on this is so precise and so consistent across studies that calling it a trick almost undersells it. It is more accurate to call it the biological shortcut that the female attraction system was built around. Men who do this naturally are the ones who are described as magnetic, as compelling, as someone she couldn't explain why she noticed, but did. Men who understand it deliberately are the ones who stop wondering why some men walk into rooms differently and start walking into rooms differently themselves. Before the specific thing is named, a finding that establishes why it works the way it does. Research from evolutionary psychologist David Buss at the University of Texas, whose cross-cultural studies on mate preference remain among the most extensively replicated in the field, consistently found that women across 37 cultures prioritized one quality above all others in initial attraction assessments. Not physical height, not facial symmetry, though both of those mattered. The quality that Buss's research identified as the most consistent cross-cultural predictor of female initial attraction was what he and his colleagues termed resource acquisition potential. And its most immediate, most visible, most instantly readable behavioral expression is what researchers in the field of social psychology have spent decades documenting. It is presence. Specifically, the quality of being genuinely, completely, unhurriedly present in a space. The behavioral signature of someone who is not monitoring their own performance, not checking their social standing against others in the room, not calculating how they are coming across. Someone who is simply, fully, and completely there. Here is why this works at a neurological level. The female brain, as neuroscientist Louann Brizendine documented in her research on the female brain's social processing architecture, runs significantly higher baseline social monitoring activity than the male brain. It is continuously assessing the emotional state, confidence level, and social positioning of the people around it. And one of the most significant things it assesses, rapidly, automatically, below conscious processing, is whether the person in front of her is responding to her or performing for her. Performing is the enemy of attraction. Presence is its foundation. There are 4 specific behaviors that communicate genuine presence before a word is spoken. Each one is readable instantly. Each one registers in the female social processing system before conscious evaluation begins. And the 4th one is the one that most men get wrong in exactly the same direction. Not the wrong behavior, but the wrong version of the right behavior. The distinction is smaller than it sounds and larger than it seems. The first behavior is this: he moves slowly, and it is not an accident. This is the first thing the female brain reads when a man enters a space. Not what he's wearing, not his height, how he moves. Speed of movement is one of the most reliable behavioral indicators of internal state that the human observation system has. People who are anxious, self-conscious, or monitoring their social performance move quickly. The movement is efficient, purposeful, oriented toward getting from one point to another without drawing attention in the wrong direction. The quickness is protective. People who are genuinely at ease, who are not running a background threat assessment, not monitoring how they're coming across, not trying to get anywhere faster than where they currently are, move differently. They move with the specific quality of unhurried deliberateness that behavioral researchers describe as low urgency movement. Every movement is complete. There is no rushing. Research from Amy Cuddy at Harvard Business School on power posing and social perception found that observers rated low urgency, expansive movers as significantly more dominant, more confident, and more socially compelling than high urgency, contracted movers. In assessments made in under 5 seconds of observation, under 5 seconds before a single social interaction had occurred. For the female observation system, which is processing this data continuously and automatically, slow deliberate movement registers as the behavioral signature of someone who has nothing to prove. And someone who has nothing to prove, who is not performing for the room, is someone whose attention, when it finally lands on a specific person, means something. Because it was not distributed anxiously. It was directed deliberately. Move slowly. Take up the space you're in. Let the movement be complete rather than efficient. This is not an affectation. It is the behavioral expression of genuine ease, and genuine ease is one of the most immediately readable and most powerfully attractive qualities available. The second behavior is this. He makes eye contact that stays. This is the behavior that most men understand theoretically and most men execute incorrectly in practice. The common advice about eye contact is to maintain it, and that advice is correct in principle. What it misses is the specific quality of the eye contact that produces the attraction response versus the eye contact that produces discomfort. Research from psychologist Zick Rubin at Harvard on the relationship between gaze and romantic attraction found that couples who reported the highest levels of romantic connection spent significantly more time in mutual gaze, and that the quality of that gaze, not just its duration, was the critical variable. The gaze that produced connection was warm and settled. The gaze that produced discomfort was intense and monitoring. Here is the distinction in behavioral terms. The warm, settled gaze is the gaze of someone who is genuinely interested in what they're looking at. It is receptive. It is taking in the other person rather than projecting onto them. The intense monitoring gaze is the gaze of someone who is tracking how they're coming across, checking whether the eye contact is having the intended effect, monitoring the interaction rather than being in it. Women read the difference between these two immediately. The settled, warm, genuinely interested gaze produces the specific neurological response associated with being genuinely seen, which, as the Harvard reward pathway research established, activates the same dopamine-driven systems as early romantic attraction. The monitoring gaze produces the specific discomfort of being evaluated rather than engaged. Make the eye contact that is genuinely looking at her. Not performing eye contact, not maintaining eye contact as a technique, but actually looking warmly, with genuine curiosity about what is there. The difference is felt immediately, and what is felt immediately is what creates the instant attraction response. The third behavior is this. He responds to her. He doesn't react. This is the behavioral distinction that most clearly separates the presence that creates attraction from the performance that undermines it. Reacting is what happens when someone's internal state is driven by external events. Someone says something amusing and the laughter comes immediately, before the full thought has landed. Someone says something challenging and the defense comes immediately, before the full meaning has been received. The reaction is automatic because the external event has full control of the internal state. Responding is different. The information arrives. There is a moment, brief, genuine, unhurried, in which it is actually received and processed. And then the response comes from that processing rather than from the automatic reaction. The laughter, when it comes, is genuine rather than performed. The answer, when it comes, is considered rather than reflexive. The response is the output of someone who was actually present for the input rather than someone who was waiting for an opportunity to react. Psychologist Daniel Goleman's research on emotional intelligence, specifically the component he identifies as self-regulation, found that the ability to create a gap between stimulus and response was among the strongest behavioral markers of both emotional security and social competence. And social competence, Goleman's research found, was among the most consistently attractive qualities in adult social assessment. For the female attraction system, a man who responds rather than reacts communicates something specific and powerful. He is not at the mercy of his own anxiety. His internal state is not hostage to what happens around him. He is genuinely, not performatively, in control of himself. And self-regulation in the female attraction assessment registers as exactly the kind of stability that the attachment system is designed to find compelling. The fourth behavior is this. He gives his full attention, but the right version of it. Full attention is magnetic. The research on this is consistent across social psychology, neuroscience, and communication studies. Being the recipient of someone's full, genuine, undivided attention is one of the rarest and most powerfully positive social experiences available. The Harvard Neuroscience research established that being genuinely invited to be the center of someone's attention activates the same neural reward pathways as food and money. Full attention from a person who could be attending to anything or anyone else in the room is neurologically a gift of genuine value. But here is the version that most men execute and why it fails. Many men, when they decide to give a woman their full attention, give her their full focused attention. They lock in, they maintain intense eye contact, they respond quickly to everything she says. They are visibly, completely oriented toward her in a way that communicates something specific, not confidence, but need, not genuine interest, but performance of interest. The full attention becomes a form of pursuit, and pursuit communicates investment that hasn't been earned by the interaction yet. The version that produces the attraction response is full attention that is relaxed rather than focused, present rather than pursuing. The attention of someone who is genuinely absorbed in what he is experiencing rather than someone who is working hard to convey that he is absorbed. The difference is the difference between a man who is watching her because she is genuinely interesting and a man who is watching her because he wants her to know he finds her interesting. The first version produces the attraction response. The second produces social discomfort. Genuine absorption is relaxed. It breathes. It has pauses in it. It does not need to perform itself. And because it does not perform itself, it is immediately readable as real. Here is the unified picture of what instant attraction in the female brain actually responds to. Slow, unhurried movement that communicates someone who is not performing for the room, eye contact that is warm and genuinely interested rather than intense and monitoring, responses that come from genuine presence rather than automatic reaction, and full attention that is relaxed and absorbed rather than focused and pursuing. All four of these behaviors are the behavioral expression of the same underlying quality: genuine, settled, self-possessed presence, not confidence performed for an audience, not attraction communicated through effort. The actual internal state of someone who is genuinely at ease in their own skin, genuinely interested in the person in front of them, and genuinely unconcerned with how the interaction is assessing them. That quality, communicated through these four specific behaviors, is what the female attraction system was designed to respond to, not because it is charming, because it is the behavioral signature of exactly the kind of internal security that genuine desire in the psychology of female attraction is built around. The trick is not a trick at all. It is the behavioral output of being a genuinely present, genuinely settled, genuinely interested person. And the reason it works is precisely because it is not a performance. Before this video ends, there is an important continuation of everything we just covered, and it addresses the question that comes after this one. These four behaviors create immediate attraction, but what happens when the immediate window has passed? What happens when the first impression was neutral, when she wasn't drawn in immediately, and the question becomes whether attraction can still be built from that starting point? Because instant attraction is one scenario, but it is not the only one. And the men who understand both how to create immediate attraction and how to build it when it wasn't there from the start, those men never lose a situation that could have been won. The video on your screen right now covers exactly that second scenario. It is called How to Make a Woman Desire You Even If She's Not Interested: Love Psychology. It covers the four specific psychological mechanisms: Robert Zionk's mere exposure effect, Arthur Aaron's self-expansion theory, John Gottman's reliability research, and Robert Cialdini's scarcity psychology that shift a woman's assessment from indifference to genuine desire over time. Today's video told you how to make an immediate impression that creates attraction. That video tells you what to do when the immediate impression didn't land the way it needed to. Both together is the complete picture. Watch it now.